Hello everybody, if you are new around here, welcome to my channel Adam Up. My name is Adam and today in this video I am going to demonstrate to you and take you through a tutorial of how to best start and the best layout in franchise mode, and this is an updated version for 2021. Now without further ado, let's get into this. Now, just before we start, I am fully aware that there is tutorials already out there on YouTube demonstrating the best way to start in franchise mode and the best layout to have. Hey, I've even got one myself, but there's no updated ones, there's no new ones. This video is going to be tailored for the more beginner, someone who's just started playing Planet Zoo or at least just starting in franchise mode. But there is going to be some tips along the way what more advanced and more experienced players like myself might not know. And we are here, we have arrived and we're in franchise mode. Our zoo is open, but there's something we need to do first, and the very first thing we need to do is press pause. Trust me, you don't want to be creating and building stuff at night trying to see, so just press pause while you get the initial setup set up. Now another thing we need to keep in mind is power. Now we click on heat maps, you can see I've already got power selected here, and this is the radius of anything. Basically anything in this radius will be powered, and because we've not spent anything yet, you guessed it, anything in this radius will be powered for free. We don't have to buy any transformers as long as it's in this radius, because power is actually generated by our guest spawners, what come free as soon as you open a franchise zoo in the main starting building area. Right, our main entrance, and we're starting off with this path. Now what I like to do and what I figured out works best is deleting this little bit of path here. So if we just select a path, right click, delete that, and then delete it again, so we've got two straight bits here where our guest entrance are located. And then we need to press align to grid, align it to this grid of the original path, and then come out to, and then that's going to form our initial first path. And now we're going to go out probably around between 10 and 15 spaces, so that we'll count that as 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now there's also two things you can do here. If you go into the settings over here, you can see I've got path supports on as well as curb on ground path. It just makes the path look a bit more realistic and a bit more, you know, like it's supposed to be there. Now there's another thing, let me see if I can find it for you. You don't need any of those options turned on really, but flatten terrain, the first option, this is totally up to you. It is easier to work with a flattened terrain, and if you want to do this but while you're putting paths down, this is a really handy setting to have on. Obviously you can just go into the terrain tab and flatten the whole terrain, but that costs money, and when you're starting off a franchise zoo, especially if you're in hard mode, you don't want to be spending any unnecessary money. So I'm just going to leave that off for now. Now let's carry on with our path. Let me just recount these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll just fill in the other side here. We might have to come a bit more out, maybe 15. And then what I like to do is get the necessities in. Now what I mean by necessities is we go into facilities, we'll go into staff facilities, turn blueprints off. We just want the core building. Again, we don't want to spend unnecessary money on items what are going to cost a lot of money just to make a zoo look good. We don't want scenery items, we don't want stuff like that. We want to get things rolling, and we need that cash coming in as quick as possible. So necessities, there's some things here you don't need, but one of the first things we do need is an animal trade center as well as a veterinary surgeon. Now what I like to do here, and this I found out works great, is add this building what you're about to place to this building group here. So you see it says select group 2 to add to, left click on that, and now we're in this space of this building. And now this is really good because it keeps everything aligned as well as the path aligned, and it makes it more easy to create stuff quicker. Remember, there is a negative radius on facility building, so we're going to do it a little bit more away from the path, about there. And we're doing this at the start again because we're going to get the free power from the guest spawners in this original building. It's going to power all these facilities for us. Now always delete these trees. Cost a little bit of money, not a lot of money, but they just get in the way, and it's good to have a clear view of what you need to be doing. And this line basically indicates where all our staff facilities are going to be going. So next we need a quarantine small. Again, add it to the same group like that. And then we're going to be needing a animal trade center and a keepers up. And for now, that's probably about it. We don't need a research center just yet. They can come after. And we don't need a workshop just yet either. So we're up to 29,000. We built the initial path. We built the necessity of the staff facilities. And we're just over 29,000 out of 40,000 starting. So let's get a path. And we need staff paths this time. We're going to align to grid again. And we're going to align it to the first grid, the first path we built. And we're just going to come across like this. And as you can see, everything just lines up perfectly and automatically connects to our facilities. If it doesn't connect, don't worry. Deselect grid and then just click on your facilities. Like so. And we've got some room for our other staff facilities that we are going to need. Now we are back to our main path, and again we need to click the align to grid. And what I like to do is come out around 4, so 1 2 3 4, and the other side 1 2 3 4, and then I want to come down 4, so 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Oh, sorry, can't count, missed one on that side. Bring it on in so it lines up nice and even like so, keeping everything still on the grid. Now this is going to be where our guest facilities are. So if we click on facilities and guest facilities, again we want blueprints off, and we are going to get 2 things for now. We're going to get an information center, if I could find it. There we go. Up to you where you place it. Again, if you go into these settings here and make sure it's add to building, click on the buildings we've already got, and again it's aligned to that same grid, keeping everything nice and even still throughout. Now, like I said, it's up to you where you have it. You can see the path changes, but remember, these don't have to. Here's a little tip for you. Some of you might not know this, some more experienced players might not know this, but these facilities do not have to be connected to a path. If they're close enough to a path, you can delete the path and the guests will still use these facilities. And this is a really handy tool in your arsenal to be able to, you know, to have and to use. Like, people think connecting the path, you have to do it to guest facilities. You don't. They will still use these facilities as long as they're close enough to the path to be able to use them. But for this instance, I'm just going to create information center there, and then we're going to go, we want a shop. And here's another tip for you. Souvenir shops do really well in Planet Zoo franchise mode. For some reason, the guests absolutely love to buy a hat, a balloon, or whatever the souvenir is. They love to buy them. So we're going to get Looney Balloons, and I'm going to put Looney Balloons here. Again, it's totally up to you. I'm just going by random. You can put these wherever you want, and don't be alarmed about how they look. I know it's the base building and they don't look too fancy at the moment, but that stuff will come when you've got more money. Then you can start adding walls and doing stuff up. You can even turn these squares into foliage patches, or you can turn them into a whole building to have your actual facilities in. Now the other thing is toilets. So let's get a toilet in. Again, wherever you want to have a toilet, really. Doesn't really matter. So that's our guest facilities in, our staff facilities in, our main path sorted and in place. Now let's move on to habitats and our main area, our plaza, so to speak. We're going to select the same path. It doesn't have to be the same path, totally up to you, the design options. And then we're going to align to grid again. Once again, we're aligning to the grid. And this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go 4 out again. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Remember, we can't go too far up because we do want this to be able to stay within the zone of the power from our initial building, like I've said before. And now we're going to start creating probably one of the most important things in Planet Zoo these days, thick paths. If you have paths this thin, your guests will get crowded, they will get stuck, and they won't be able to get to the viewing areas where your donation buckets are located, and it will affect your money. Honestly, it will. So we're going to double up. So these are 2 4-meter paths, which means the path is now 8 meters. And you'll see this has happened here. Now, this is the problem with the Planet Zoo pathing system. It is a pain in the ass, not just for new people, but for people like me who have got over 1,000 hours in Planet Zoo. The pathing system is awkward. We're going to bring it in this side, and we're going to try to fix that. If we delete the path like that, you see, and just replace it all, that's just delete and replace, and the path will sort it out itself, I promise. Now our 4-meter path is in, we need to start thinking about habitats. Now what I like to do is follow on from this path here. So we just do 2 here like this. So this is going to be at the bottom of your habitat path. This is going to be the side. So it will come up here like this, and again we're going to double up onto the outside like this. This is a rough idea of how your starting zones should be looking. Don't have to be exactly like this, it's just what works for me and what I enjoy doing. So let's get these paths in. How many have we come up here? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. I think 10 should do it. Fill these in, and then in the center of this, so around here, we're going to do 1 2 3, so it's nice and even. That does look a bit small, so let's make that 4. Yeah, that should do. And then we're going to bring this in to make a nice square. Bring it down, remember keeping the same width of path. And again we're going to come 1 2 3. Make sure it's nice and even and symmetrical. My OCD playing a part there. Right, so we've got, and these areas here, what I've just stuck out is going to be our viewing areas for our habitats. Now we have to create the space for our habitats. We don't have to create a big space because it's best to start off with small habitats and then work your way up to big ticket animals. That should be big enough. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. What? 3 4 5. In fact, I don't need to count, I can just connect it up. So we connect this up. I think you can see it starting to take shape now, this habitat. And we're going to do the same on the other side. I'll be back when it's done. So that's the other side done. As you can see, nice symmetrical, and it's really taking form now, this starting area. Now for the middle, before we jump onto habitats, there's a couple of things you can do. It's totally up to you. What I like to do is bring the path in even more to get a smaller square, just another width around like this. And then here you can either have, well, there's a couple of different options, but you can have a dining area for your guests and have your facilities, your food facilities and shops here, or maybe inside of this area and have a little food court, or you can build a nice little water fountain. I have got a tutorial on building a water fountain in a main plaza area of a zoo on my channel. It looks something like this. You can go and check it out. It's quite a recent video by mine, and I think a lot of people have found it helpful. Now, the first thing we need to do before we start creating an actual habitat is check on this power zone. Now, as you can see, it's going to cover most of the habitat, which is good, and it's going to mainly, and most importantly, it's going to cover this this zone here, our viewing zone, where our guests are going to be located when they're actually viewing the animals, because that's where our education is going to be, and obviously education speakers and screens need to be powered. Right, habitat. I like to do the first couple of habitats a little bit different to probably most people. And I don't like to use barriers. Now, wait, let me explain. I like to go into the construction menu like so. And you can literally grab any wall. Bear with me, but this is an easier way. So, let's do, say we want a modern look, what I normally like to build. Let's do plaster. Let's make sure our blueprints are off. And then we're just going to select a plaster wall piece. Let's recolor it to white. Again, design choices are totally yours. And now what we're going to do is we're going to align it to the building again. Right? And this should give us a nice square on even space to build this habitat in the designated space we've created with the paths. So if we just come here, like this. You see what I'm getting at? See how easy it is if everything's on the grid and you're using building spaces? This will stop the animals getting out as well, as long as you don't get animals that can climb. Okay? Just remember that. Some animals that can climb will get out of this. So we're just going to go all the way around. Make sure it's nice and even. All the way around with the plaster pieces. Apart from this bit, we're going to come in one here. In one here. Now you're going to select the smaller one. Okay, remember this is our viewing area. So we're going to go there, there, and there. And then we're going to go up. I'm going to put it on 1 meter just so it snaps to the grid like that. And what I'm even going to do is I'm going to hold control to select these within the group. And I'm going to move these down slightly like that so the guests get a better view. And this is going to be our main window. And now what we do is now we go into the barriers. This just looks a bit more modern, a bit more fresh, and you know, a bit more eye appealing really. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So for barriers, obviously we've still got to put barriers in. We're going to put our glass, sorry, and we're going to do one-way glass. If you've not already got one-way glass researched in your franchise, then just normal glass will do. One-way glass is great for creating privacy for the animals though. And then we're going to place it, and then we're going to higher it up like this. And then all we're going to do now is we're just going to get it close to the path as possible and kind of in the center. You can turn angle snap on and turn it down to 15 degrees. Makes life a little bit easier. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to move this one over. Try to get it as straight as possible. Select the barrier, edit barrier. The one way is on the wrong side, sort settings. There we go. Now our guests can see in. And then what we're going to do is we see this middle post here. Doesn't look really too good, does it? So all we're going to do is select it and then select this move, hold it in. We're just going to move it to the other pole. Okay, it's not working. So let's try this way, delete that. And then move it. So we've got one piece of glass. Like so. Bring this in a little bit. Try to get it as neat as possible. And then there's our main viewing area. Now we need to add a habitat gate. So we select habitat gate. What we're going to do is put it as close to the path as possible in the center of one of these walls. So that should do. And select this. Select it all. Make it null. And if this is where our habitat barrier, our habitat gate, sorry, is going to be, need to select this group, delete that, and then we'll come back to that. Leave that for now. Edit barrier. And then we're just going to follow the wall. Connect it there. Get this side. Remember, angle snap is on. I'm just going to go all the way around the edge. And there we go. We've got our first habitat. There's some little details we need to fill in now. Like, we need to fill this in, or our animals will escape. There's loads of different ways you can do this. Nice simple way is to do something like that, and then you can either, if you want to fill it in and be all particular about it, you can bring these plaster pieces in, like so. There's our habitat gate. Remember, there's a little bit of a gap here, so if we go into, get these pillars, these plaster pillars, you can fill the gap with anything you want. Like that. Job is a good one. And that's our first habitat. And now we're going to copy it over to the other side, and I'll come back to you when we have done that. In fact, I'm actually going to show you a really easy way to be able to actually copy this over, instead of having to do it from scratch all over again and doing exactly what we've already just done. Now, go into the building group by double clicking on your left mouse button, and then we want to hold Control and just drag all the way over this, and we want to press duplicate. Now, as you can see, we've got the habitat now. This is why I like using building pieces instead of habitat barriers. And look at that. It just slots in perfectly, symmetrically. And now we've just got to add the barrier, and then we're in. We've got our second habitat in place. Right, now that second habitat is in place and the barriers are in place as well, we now need to just add the education stuff. You know, the speakers and the donation buckets. Always remember donation buckets. Donation buckets will absolutely rake it in. Probably be your most profitable, probably more than ticket sales of your actual zoo. And remember, screens as well, educational boards. So let's do that. As you can see, I've put an education screen on both sides of these panels here. 2 donation buckets because it is quite a large viewing area. And on the inside here, you can see the educational speaker. And now all we need to do is start getting our animals in and open our zoo. So I decided to purchase 2 albino, 1 male, 1 female common warthog. Got them into quarantine. They have both passed. But just before I put them into the zoo, you've probably noticed and you're probably frustrated that I didn't put in a staff room because I totally forgot. Again, even the most experienced players make mistakes. So let's just get a quick staff room in here. Again, it's going on this same line here. So staff facilities, staff room, add it to the grid. And what I like to do is just turn it on its side like this. And then add it in. Make sure it's a staff path, not a normal path. There we go. So that's our staff room in. Let's get our warthogs into the habitat, get them nice and happy, turn our education on, open our zoo, and then you can start looking at stuff like dustbins and seating and food arrangements for the guests. Our warthogs are in, they're happy, they've got everything they need, all the enrichment items, and we've turned our education stuff on. So our screens are on, our education speaker is on, we've got some dustbins, we've got some seats for our guests. I even built them a little shelter over here so they can have a rest and a little bit of privacy. And the great thing about building a habitat like this, as another great point, is that you can create a viewing point anywhere within this. All you have to do is delete a wall and add the glass, turn the no barrier into a glass barrier, delete the wall, you've got another viewing area. You can either come over, build some stairs here, come over the top, and then you've got an over the top viewing area. Here's our guest coming in to view our common warthogs. We just got to put another animal into this little habitat here, and then we're going to have 2 habitats. Let's bring up our user interface, and through all that, everything we need to start our zoo off are successfully, and we're on just under 14,000, and this will go up significantly. Honestly, to me, in my opinion, this is the best way to start out in franchise mode. I hope that this video has somehow helped you lot when starting your franchise zoos. I hope you learned a thing or two. I'm so happy that I've been able to do this video and show you these little tips and tricks what I use for my franchise zoos. Hope that they work in your franchise zoos. If you're new around here, then please press that subscribe button. If you did like the video, then hit the like button. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.